did lift up. That means anybody that tries to rise, we cut you off, so that no man did lift up. So the agenda of the horns was to make sure that no great person comes from Israel. So when these kings hear, let me use this earthly, if they hear that somebody has started a company in Israel and it's working, those 4 kings, one of them will have to come after the company and crash it, because no man must lift up his head. If they see that a military giant has risen, they will find a way to cut. No man must lift up his head. This has been the curse over Africa. No man must lift up his head. And we have to rise and deal with it. Do you know one of the most hated men on earth, or in his time when he was alive, was Benson Idahosa? He was one of the most fought, opposed, and despised men at his time, because he tried to lift up his head. Martin Luther Jr. You see how you celebrate him? Marcus Garvey, you see how you celebrate them? But look at how Martin Luther died. He was literally killed because he tried to lift up his head. And there was a generation that will not allow. The question is, has this issue been dealt with? The answer is no. You have to be average, otherwise you must go. There was a young man, I don't support him, I don't care. If you ask me one song that he has sung, I don't know. But what I know is that he was literally becoming a voice that could contend against a system, and that's Tupac. Look at how, and they will not, the horns will not come themselves to cut you off. They will use the people around you to cut you off. That's how the horns operate. They will use the people around you to cut you off. So right now we have gotten to a time and a season that even the wealthy is afraid to reveal it. You must be apologetic for being blessed. You must try and hide what you have. Otherwise, there is a conditioned system that must cut off anyone that lift up his head. And I narrow it down to our country. So we have few or no global icons from this place. Something must happen for the one who lift up his head to be cut off. You want to move your journalism career from Ghana to BBC? No, you can't grow old with it. You can't grow old with it. I'm not reminding the sorrow of some people, but I'm telling you the truth, so that we can all rise and forget about our mindset and see the reality and deal with something. if you don't take care, you may not grow old with your glory. Something. So we can only point to just few global icons, but showed up at the global realm and then came down again. It's not that they stayed there for a while. Our musicians are enjoying the borders of the nation. Pastors are enjoying the borders. Businesses are in the borders. Who is lifting up his head in the global market? I could have mentioned names of men. We could have, as a nation, come together and say, this guy has lifted up his head above the borders of this nation. Can we all push? But it's a no. It's a no. So we are in a country that the blessed have to hide their blessing. And if people keep hiding their blessings, they are denying beneficiaries of the blessing. There are people, if they could have been bold to come out that I'm a billionaire in dollars. I just recently saw a news of how Dangote has employed 11,000 Indians. I just saw it. How he has employed 11,000 Indians. Those are experts to come and train his local people. Why? Because he has lifted up his head as a billionaire and he has been accepted. Government come and go in Nigeria, and every government that comes to help him to keep rising. So he lifted up his head, and today his blessing is a beneficiary, a benefit to thousands. But if you're in a country the blessed must hide, then it's possible that many people that blessing should have sustained will be left ajar. What do we do? The Bible says that the people that sat in darkness in Zabulon saw light. Can we all sit in darkness? Can we all be sitting and be nothing? Can't we now come together and say, who is rising? In the movie industry, who is rising? In the music, who is rising? Which academician is being recognized? Where is your country on the world map? When presidents meet, where does your president sit? These are things that we have to now begin to sit down. Let us not fight ourselves. Let us see how we can allow others to lift their heads. It may not be us trying. You can sometimes forget about yourself and say, Lord, I know if this person successfully lift up his head, it will be easy for me. It's time we sit back and put away tribalism, put away our differences, and then begin to see the prospect of the nation and begin to apply the spiritual and the physical to make sure that men and women begin to lift up their heads. I showed my wife some time ago. I saw a list of 50 influential women in Africa. I kept on searching, looking for Ghana. I kept looking. At the point, Babembwe, 50 influential women. So if a woman lift up her head, why don't we find a way to sustain that head for the sake of women? If a military general begin to lift up his head, why don't we sustain that head to a point that when security matters is being